Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to explain. My name is Hardik Shah, and in this video I'm going to explain a bank cum mobile collaborative model prepared as part of summer internship project at RBI. Let's get started. The model here would suggest my ideation based on our study of existing payment installment systems of the country as well as infrastructure already in place for the collaborative system. The model is suggested keeping in mind 6 lakh villages of our country for which banking penetration is still very low and for some cases even non-existent. For the purpose of simplicity, we would be explaining the model in via 3 transactions. One would be the customer account deposit flow, second would be transaction between customers with different operators, and third would be a transaction flow between customers who want to withdraw their money. So what was the effort of this project? What happened? RBI is committed towards providing a self-efficient and accessible, inclusive, interoperable and authorized payment and settlement system for the country. RBI is committed towards making banking available to each and everyone, even the lower strata of the society, as part of its financial inclusion program. And for this, we need to have innovative solutions which will be based on existing technologies which are being accepted and are affordable to the lower strata of the society. Hence, we believe the mobile application would be the next big thing. It should be helping RBI and our country to access the banking system. Let's start with the initial facts. This is our country on the brief. We have a total of 6 lakh villages, out of which 2,70,000 villages or 45% are covered under the financial inclusion part. The country penetration of banks is around 1,10,000 branches with 150,000 ATMs. We have 165 mobile internet users, of which 55% are using mobile internet only. Only 45% of adults have bank account in our country, which is still much worse as compared to many of the underdeveloped and developing countries. So why do we think mobile banking would be the next big thing? There are 5 major reasons for which we believe mobile banking would be the next best thing. First is limitation of broadband, second is affordability, third is smartphones with mobile applications, fourth is easy accessibility, and fifth is huge subscriber base. So coming to the collaborative model, which we believe to be the payment system for the future, the best part about the model is it will be built upon the existing infrastructure of telecom operators and the banks. The collaborative model would have following 5 stakeholders. First is the banks, second is the telecom operators, or who would also be known as aggregators. Third would be the application vendors, who will be providing and supporting the underlying applications for the effort. Fourth will be mobile handset manufacturer or OEM supporters, end users, regulators, and government. Let's start with the transaction flow for customer account deposit. Consider this RY as a customer of Reliance. The customer of Reliance have 2 interfaces to interact with Reliance as a company. First is the POS system and second is the POS system web enabled. We have given 2 options for the sake of simplicity and for the convenience of the customers. The customer would have his MMID, which is known as the mobile MID, which will be used by the customer for his unique identification, the mobile number along with the combination of mobile number and the cash amount to a POS system. The POS system, once receiving this and verifying the information, will update the amount in the POS system's database. Same would be for the web interface, which would be an automated interface. The POS system will acknowledge the POS system database will acknowledge the POS system, which in turn would pass on the acknowledgement to customer, which will suggest that mobile balance has been created. In the backend, there will be a flat file generated for the kickup process. Files would be stored in the data mart, and a corresponding transaction would be initiated in the banking system, together with an update in the customer mobile balance management system. In this case, the customer mobile balance management system is being maintained by the telecom operator, and the banking transaction would take place in telecom operator account. Next step would be transaction flow between customer with different operators. Consider two customers RY and AX who are using two different operating services, say a Reliance and an Airtel. Now, in this case, the customer will interact with the interface menu provided by the mobile telecom operator through mobile, and will use customer inputs with MMID, the mobile number, MMID of the receiver, which is the MMID of the customer to whom he wants to transfer money, mobile number of the receiver, the amount to be transferred, and the MPIN. The MPIN would be the secret code which will be used by RY customer in order to authenticate his transactions. The authentication interface will go through an authentication process through the mobile management system. If the mobile balance system is successful authentication and the mobile balance is sufficient, then the transaction would go forward, else it would return back with an appropriate error. The transactions would then initiate two other transactions. This transaction in the system would initiate two other transactions. One would be the message server, which would be utilizing the existing SMS gateway and would allow transfer of money, digital money, from SMS gateway to the Airtel customer, whereas the transaction files to the bank would initiate the corresponding banking transaction, which would be by the NCPI route, again an existing system which is currently used for bank accounting. The last step which will be explained in this part of this process is transaction flow for the mobile withdrawal process. In this step, customer RY would go to a POS system with the mobile number, MMID, MPIN, and amount to be withdrawn. The POS system will check into the POS database for updated customer details and account details. If there is any mismatch, a negative acknowledgement will be sent to the POS system, which will be passed on to the customer. In case if the data looks good, then the POS system database for mobile transaction would be updated after conciliation with the customer mobile balance management system. After checking the transaction is feasible or not. Although failed transaction in this case would also be collected based on the failed transaction collector database at POS system. In this way, we would be able to transfer not only mobile money, we would be able to create a cashless society and enable banking to the unbanked ones in those areas where the banks would have not been able to reach. If we see an entire table structure architecture for this model, we have an initiation process where the customer registers with all his details. Once the customer registers for his detail, an MMID assignment process will take place and an MMID would be assigned to the customer. Once this process is done and a balance is created as suggested previously, an MMID record would be created in mbank balance. In the transaction initiation phase or the transaction phase, The tables which would be interacted would be the customer and bank trans, customer, which would again be a temporary stage in to extract and separate completed and failed transactions. So once a customer wants to make a transaction, the transaction would be initiated after an authentication process with the help of a trans ID, a trans type, an MMID for the target, the amount, and the completion indicator. The transaction ID, trans type, MMID user, target, and amount would be collected for the completed transaction in the separate table and would be transferred to the mBank cust balance. This would keep the updated balance of the customer, which would be accessed time and again whenever customer wants to make a query for the balance related information, as well as when customer wants to make a transaction to check if his mobile has sufficient balance to make this transaction. Coming to this SWOT analysis for the proposed model, the strength of this model, as we have already been talking, is mobile technology is omnipresent and can be easily adapted. The model is mostly leveraging on existing infrastructure except for the regulatory environment and for a creation of separate mobile balance as part of this effort. The mobile banking has been successful model in case of Kenya and Tanzania, and capturing the long tail, giving access to huge funds to not only the financial system of the country but also would include the weaker sections of the society in the banking channel. The weakness, however, would be there would be high initial setup costs on part of operators, and there would be heavy reliance on the mobile technology, which is still evolving. Opportunities in this case would include wide-scale capture of audience, which would not only include existing customers but also prompt new customers to avail the service. It will give rise to a new arena of business opportunities to the telecom operators. The threats, however, would include access to huge funds to telecom companies, which are traditionally financed by debt. That is, there would be high distress costs, and the system, because of involvement of multiple regulatory authorities, primarily identified here by as RBI and TRAI, that could give rise to multi-party conflicts. However, the benefits of mobile money are many. If suitably developed and suggested model is implemented, it could open a wide range of opportunities in payment like school fees, government office fees, tax, utility bills, and even employee salaries. This would, in countries like Tanzania, mobile penetration has been very high and suggests that households with M-Money users engage in variety of financial activities and are more likely to save money and buy insurance than households that do not use M-Money services. So, as a concluding remark, we would suggest that an innovative framework on an already accomplished infrastructure is the need of hour. Looking inside the strong potential of mobile technology on hand and the highly diversified and spread population of a massive country like India, the innovative framework which is built on existing technology will not only help to take us forward to extend and achieve the goal of financial inclusion, but will also provide an opportunity to explore many other avenues. There has been an increasing trend of linking banking with social media during primary stage. Such innovative product will continue to hit the market, and the role of shaping in payments future cannot be discounted. With this, I'll thank you for your time.